another year of goal setting. Maybe my favourite time of year actually. January has so much like promise, hope, I don't know, without getting too like airy fairy emotional, but I really love a January because everything is like new and I feel like you've got a whole year to look forward to, and you could literally do this on a Monday or at the start of every month or the middle of a month. Like, it's just a mindset, it's nothing to do with the actual time, is it? But I really enjoy January, I really enjoy the planning, I really enjoy kind of looking forward to stuff. So this is my 2025 season potential plan. I don't really have a very set in stone plan this year, which is the first time in a long time I've been a little bit ambiguous about what I want to do. And that is mainly because I don't really know whether the goals that I have always had are still the goals that I want to do. But we'll go into that. But first off, what I need for my planning. So my phone, obviously, I use that to go on the EGB provisional ride list calendar. So they have they've released like a list of all the rides that will probably happen that year, but not the classes in them. You can kind of work out based on previous years what classes they'll have, because the whole GB calendar and the events section page isn't all uploaded yet. So the provisional ride calendar, also my Google Calendar, which has all my kind of work commitments in. I've also got the EGB handbook. I like to have a little look at the handbook to just remind myself of the rules, see if there's been any rule changes in the EGB and the FEI. I use the FEI online app to have a look at the rule books and stuff, but it's just a really good reminder of the rules basically, and make sure that we're not planning on breaking any. Then I have my diary. Now normally I have the diary, the Everyday A5 diary from Box Clever Press, and I love it, but I got given this one as a gift, and this is like it's completely empty, it doesn't have dates or a year or anything in. It's a bit more of a journaling kind of organisation diary. It's called The Legenda because of Langley, and it says that if at first you don't succeed, have some cake, because I really love cake. So I'm gonna use this year because I don't want it to go to waste, and it was a really nice gift, but I do miss my Box Clever Press one because I just love how it's structured. And last of all, I like to print off like a paper A4, you see the whole year in one piece of paper calendar. I get these they're free, they're PDFs from calendarpedia.co.uk, and I also print them off for each month as well as I go through the year for a little bit of help with my planning and things. And it just really helps me to see the whole year in one, where I'm working, where I want to like have time off, and it lets me structure my season around that rather than thinking, oh, I'd really like to do that ride, but then I realise that actually I'm away like working for 2 weeks, and it does help structure everything. So that is what I need. Also, when I'm doing this, like, and I'm setting it all out, pens, highlighters, pencils. I love having some good stationery. I've actually lost my set of good highlighters. I have a beautiful set of 8 like pastel-y highlighters, and I have no idea where they've gone. So I will go on the hunt for them in a little bit. But yes, let's get into planning my 2025 season. Now, I have learned in previous years that a solid plan, a fixed plan of what you want to do very rarely works. So I moved on in the last few years to a plan where I have options each month. So I know what loosely I want to achieve that year and the options to achieve that. So let's start with Tizzy. Tizzy, still going strong, not riding her as much, probably riding her maybe like twice a month at the moment. Not very far, not very fast, but I do want her to still do maybe 3 pleasure rides next year. Keep them local, keep them fairly easy. So a really good place for me, and the Derbyshire group are really good at this actually, is to go on their Endurance GB Derbyshire group Facebook page, because that is my local group, and they put all their events for the year up as events on the Facebook group. So I just go through there, see which ones like fit in with my work schedule, and then all of the options. I think Derbyshire Group actually have about 10. So they've got lots of options, and I put all the options down in my Google Calendar, and then on my paper calendar I'll put the ones that I'm aiming for and I really want to do. I would love to take Tizzy to Longmynd, which is a Heart of England group ride. I think it's also a competitive like national ride as well, but I would really like to take her to that this year, so I'm hoping that work and everything aligns to do that. But yes, so Tizzy's goal for 2025 is to go to 3 pleasure rides, keep it ticking over. Hopefully we still have some years of pleasure rides left. She is 28 this year? 27? 28? She was born in 1998. How old is my pony? Hopefully she's looking fairly good. She's maintained kind of a quite an even health weight kind of status over the last 6 months, so long may that continue. And I will continue doing stuff with her as long as she enjoys it and she's up for it. I feel like she will tell me when she doesn't want to do stuff anymore, but that point has not got there yet. Okay, so Estrid. This is where it gets a little bit more muddy because I'm not entirely sure, one, whether I actually want to do FEI anymore, or again, because I haven't done it for a long time. And if I do want to do FEI, can I afford it? And if I do FEI and I do all I can to afford it, and I get qualified to go to a championship, can I afford the cost of a championship and the time away in terms of annual leave? So if money was no object and I could have as much annual leave as I wanted, 100% I would love to go up through the FEI levels, to qualify for the British team again and go to a European or World Championship. That would be my heart's desire. However, one, that takes up a lot of time in terms of like my free time. It is a hobby. I do have a job, and training for FEI distances is a much bigger commitment than training for like 80k and below. So if I'm going to do it, I have decided that I will keep to 1 or 2 FEI rides a year, maximum 2, because I feel like I can block that into 2 training blocks, and in my head that's when I fully commit to training and fully commit to doing an FEI ride, and the times in between I can do things like my mountain biking and hiking and go on camping trips with the family and actually see my friends in the week, rather than it just be solely training my horse. So there's a lot to think, but at the moment I am still going to give it a go. I'm going to try and get Estrid's first 1-star qualification this year, or I really hope we could get it. There was a glimmer last year that maybe we could have done an end of year 1-star, but it wasn't meant to be with our late start to the season. So before I can even contemplate getting to a 1-star, I need to do another 80-kilometre ride. So Estrid is now advanced under EGB rules, so she could do her next 80-kilometre ride as a CER, which is a competitive endurance ride, which is essentially a mass start race, or I could do it as a GER, which is graded endurance ride, which is more like a time trial points-based system and you start individually. Now, pros and cons to these. A GER, we've done them before, she was really good. It's quite chilled out in terms of who you ride with and things, but I think Estrid would have, and I would have more fun out on course if it was a race ride, because we would be riding in a group. But then I think we'd struggle more in a vet gate because she'd get attached to the horses that we're out riding with in presentations and stuff. So who knows? I'm leaning towards doing it as a race because, one, I don't have to do the mass start if I don't want to. I can start up to, I think, 10 or 15 minutes later. I'd have to check my rules. So you don't have to start in the mass start as long as it's within the time period from the start so that you don't get eliminated. I don't have to ride with anyone out on course, and I do prefer a busier vet gate and hold because Estrid is much more relaxed with more horses around. And if I do get to do the mass start, it's great practice for going up to FEI, and it's much more fun riding in a group. Like it just is, and I feel like horses prefer riding in a group. They can take turns in the lead and things. Estrid, it's still one of our things we need to work on, of Estrid riding in a group, because sometimes she just stops, and she's not very fond of going past horses. Once we're past and we're in front, she's fine, but it's like the passing part. So I need to do an 80k. It needs to be under 16 kilometers an hour to qualify us to do an FEI 1-star. And my other big goal for the year is for her to do her first race ride, and whether that be as our 80k to get to 1-star season, just because we're doing an 80k for fun, I'm not entirely sure. But I have gone through the provisional ride list, written down all the potential FEI rides, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 opportunities in the UK between April and the end of August to do an FEI ride. So that's actually quite a good span across the year. I would love to either go to Windsor Horse Show in May, or to Lavenham Endurance Ride in June. That would be my ideal first 1-star for Estrid. But we'll see what happens. The other big thing to consider with FEI is the entry fee costs compared to national rides. So and I think a national above 80k is like 101-ish pounds, but FEI can be up to double that, so that's £202 just to enter. That doesn't include stabling, corralling costs, overnight fees, fuel to get there, all that jazz. So finances is going to play a huge part in my goal setting in the future and what I can achieve. But if I want it to happen, I will make it happen. I've got 3 jobs at the moment, so we can move around with where we spend money and see what we want to do. If I don't do FEI, I'm actually really excited about the concept of going to rides like the Golden Horseshoe and getting Estrid to the 160 class there. Obviously that's a couple of years off, I think, for her, but I would love to go to Golden Horseshoe to do some of the lower classes, because just the atmosphere is so iconic. I'd love to take Estrid to Red Dragon, the Cairngorm ride up in Scotland. So there's lots of national rides. I've never been to Wellvale. Lots of national rides that I would love to do. They're very iconic. I would love to go to Cirencester again. I've been working for Cirencester the last few years. Just doing national rides for fun and national races for fun. And that's a huge mindset shift for me, that we're not actually competing to achieve a goal in the future. We're just competing to achieve that thing there and then and enjoy it. So yes, we will see what happens there. But for Estrid, basically I need to do an 80-kilometre qualifier to get to FEI 1-star. I would love to do an FEI 1-star, and I would love to do her first race this year. So once I've set down my goals and I have a list of the competitions available to achieve those goals, I also need to think about other things like the farrier, like rest periods. So Endurance GB, it's in the handbook somewhere, Endurance GB have compulsory rest periods, and so does the FEI. So if you do a 64 to 106 kilometre ride, the compulsory rest period, where you are not allowed to enter any competition, like a social ride, pleasure ride, any Endurance GB competition, is 12 days. Now for me this doesn't really apply, because I don't do enough rides to ever fall within a compulsory rest period. But if you're someone that is looking at national championships and trying to gain points to be national champion, then it is well worth having a look, because you obviously the system shouldn't let you enter a ride within your compulsory rest period, but you want to check, basically. You don't want your plans being flawed by that. So compulsory rest periods are important. Also vaccinations, and make sure that you're not entering a ride like too close to when you've had your vaccination. I think it's 7 days. And also that your vaccinations are in date for the ride you want to do. For FEI, your vaccination has to be like 6 months and 20 something days. And the last FEI ride I did on Tizzy, her vaccination ran out the day after the ride, and I hadn't actually checked. I only saw it the week before, so it was also too late to like update it. So definitely have a look at vaccinations, plan them in. And the other thing for me is my van MOT. So I need it for transport and for crewing, and the week of an MOT, if that's when a big ride is due on that weekend, I will just move my MOT a couple of weeks beforehand, because I don't want to not have transport and things like that. So I put it all in my calendar, all in my schedule, get it booked in the diary, get the van in the garage, and kind of plan my year from there. So a bit of a convoluted plan, because I'm not really sure. Like, yes, I really want to qualify. I would love to get on the development squad. So the development squad in the UK is if you're aspiring to do FEI and you've done 80 kilometers already, then they will help you up through the ranks and you could get selected to go abroad with the team. I would love to do that, but again, cost is a huge factor for me. But we'll see. Maybe I'm just going to train my horse, enter rides and have fun and have no long-term goals, but I'm not really that personality type. So I think as I get up the levels, I will just get more competitive, and we'll end up doing kind of going through the ranks of FEI, but we shall see. Here's to 2025.